Hey guys, so today bringing you another video. Welcome back to patch 14.21 patch notes breakdown. So this will obviously be on Huzzy Extra. Earlier today, I'm sure you probably caught it, but the new champion Ambessa, I had my video go out on her. So it's actually one of those weird, rare days that there's no technical gameplay today of me playing, but it obviously will continue tomorrow. So let's get into it. So it's the Swain patch. The Swain is getting a mini rework, and also the bounty rules and Summoner's Rift and Howling Abyss are being updated. So the patch highlights. Whoa, mamma mia! Wow. Okay, we're getting nerfs too. We buckle in, get yourself a drink. Aurelian Soul, Brand, Camille, Elise, Fiddle, Galio, Gwen, Hawaii, Kaiser, Carthus, Cassadin, Nasus, Senna, Tarek, Viego, Volibear, Yone, and Yorick. Okay. We're getting buffs too. Azir, Corgi, Gangplank, Aurelia, Kale, Malphite, Neela, Kiana, Severe, Talon, Teemo, and Zaya. So of those, in terms of like straight out nerfs, or are there any champions there that I'm like, oh, do they need a nerf? Not really. Like Tarek, like he's probably like, when's the last time I saw a Tarek do well? But again, by this, and this is kind of the point, I guess, like, technically it's lower ranking Tarek is why it's getting nerfed. Again, I'm colorblind, so it's not the best key for me, but, like, it's not a high rating thing. We're getting, obviously, a Swain rework, mini rework. We're getting a Blather and King, another adjustment, the item that will never be balanced. Champion bounties, lethal tempo, objective bounties, and sorcerer shoes. And we're getting some new dark cosmic or dark star skins. So bounties, basically they are killing Bowsen's Law officially. So for those that are like, what the hell's Bowsen's Law? If you're not a Bowser best viewer, again, he seems like a lovely guy, but he kind of made a very certain playstyle famous that mathematically what he was doing made him more fed, and the only thing that you had to be really good at was farming. So, and that's where a lot of people went wrong. People try to replicate his play style and they end up doing terribly because they basically just do the inting part and they don't get crazy amounts of farm. He does the inting part, farms at least 10 CS per minute, which is incredibly high, and's playing a scaling champion, and then, oh, his opponent's beating him even though he's farming ridiculously well. They build up a bounty, and when he scales really well, he then cashes in that bounty as well. It's kind of a win-win, and you just have to farm really well. So what they're doing is making farm into the equation of bounties. So if you are inting, but you are getting 10 CS per minute, where before it would actually be in the enemy's favor, like, or sorry, it'd be in your favor, because the enemy will be building a bounty, but you're still farming really well. The enemy team will not be building a bounty anymore. So let's get into it. So we'll ignore that a little bit, so we'll go into what they're actually doing. So bounties are now based purely on gold. So don't worry, Pike and Gangplank players were ignoring the special gold income from champion kits. That's nice. This focus on gold means that a 000 Jinx can have a bounty on her head if she has earned enough from farming. So if you just got a very KDA protecting AFK playstyle, you can still earn a bounty. A 0015 Janna will also have a bounty on her head because she's earned plenty of money from champion combat. Chain ganking the top lane Jax will be worth less gold on average, as giving away gold for assist devalues him faster than he were if he was solo killed. Sion's 100 gold death won't put an extra 100 gold bounty on the Fiora, who's trying to protect her turret. So that's a little bit straight out a call directly to the Val, saying Sion specifically that, you know, he's inting, he's 0 and 10, he's only worth 100 gold, but he's getting all the farm, which is even worth killing him. But basically, Fiora only getting that 100 gold per kill, it's not going to give Fiora more bounty because she's actually earning not that much gold, is the idea. So we've tuned these new champion bounties to generally decrease the total gold given and to favor the losing team more, since individual kills and assists won't undo negative bounties as quickly. Losing teams are going to give away less gold from fights, meaning that their downside for taking risks will be lower and games will snowball more slowly. While we've play tested these new bounties internally for a couple of months, we'll be reading player feedback. So yeah, they're going to see how it goes. But that's very interesting. I'm not going to read all of that in detail, but in basic principle, your total gold is now what's being equated to your bounty. It's not just your KDA, it's not just purely your kills, it's all of your gold combined. So if you are 0-6, and your opponent is 6-0 in top lane, before that top laner, regardless of actually how much gold, would be getting a bounty on their head. Well, now, if let's say a Fiora is 6-0 killing a 0-6 Scion, but the Scion with his zombie form and everything has actually denied a lot of farm from the Fiora, they could be even in gold. Well, therefore, there's no bounties anymore in top lane. It's making it just going off gold. So that's a big deal, which is kind of cool. Objective bounties are also changing. So in addition to champion bounties, are also changing objective bounties in this patch. While the champion bounty changes were large in scope, this update is mostly under the hood. Cleanup aimed at making objective bounties turn off and on, or on and off, at more appropriate times. So void grubs can now contribute bounty values. So like if the enemy team is getting in the first, 15 or 10 minutes of the game, they're getting all the void grubs, they're getting all towers. Void grubs is going into that calculation where it wasn't before. Experience differences contribute about 40% less. Gold differences contribute about 20%, 25% more. Turret and Drake differences are slightly more likely to contribute to an objective bounty proccing. Objective bounties will deactivate more quickly when the losing team makes a comeback. I think that's good. There's been times that like either you're winning, the enemy team gets an objective bounty, and they just clean up the whole board, and like they can sometimes it doesn't, I don't think mathematically they can like get ahead, but they can get pretty damn close in just doing a whole sweep of objective bounties. It's not the objective bounty system fundamentally isn't supposed to take a losing team and make them into a winning team. It's to kind of go, hey, here's a little bit of help. That's what it's supposed to be. But yeah, fundamentally less gold for Baron, Nashor objective bounty, and stuff like that. Anyway, let's get into the champion changes. So Aurelion Sol, he's a bit too strong at the moment. I don't see a lot of him, it must be said. I think I played against that top lane Aurelion that we absolutely destroyed a little while back. Base health decreased and E damage decreased. So base health is going down, making him a bit more vulnerable. And yes, 20 doesn't seem like a lot, but it's decent. And then his E, which obviously is the AoE wave clear ability. Whoa, that's a big nerf. 20% AP ratio nerf. That's pretty decent nerf, man. Obviously, he still has his big ultimate. He still has his Q, which you could say is the majority of his damage. But yeah, damn, that is that's a lot. Azir, health regen and AD increase. So Azir is overall a bit weaker than he's meant to be. Notice, by the way, that they buff him after Worlds, basically. Like, they did not buff this champion properly at all to, take over Worlds completely. And again, what I really like in nowadays, in this kind of, it's kind of like Riot's learned a new trick, is this does not mean this champion is supposed to have a 50% win rate because he's a bit weak. That's the point. Some champions are balanced towards lower win rates. And whenever, it happens every now and then in my Twitch comments, Twitch chat or something, you get someone who, you say a champion's weak, and then they come out the woodwork going, they've got a 48% win rate. And it's something like Yone. And you're like, yeah. And their mind gets blown when you say they're not supposed to be 50%, because they're like, every champion, like a champion like Garen, you can balance to a 50% win rate because he's a very bare bones basic champion that everybody can practically pull off. So if a Garen is at 50%, he's probably fairly balanced. Azir is an incredibly hard to pull off champion. If an Azir is at a 50% when he's incredibly hard to play, he's way too strong. Because the average player that's not very good at this champion should be dragging down his win rate. That's the point. So Azir, you remember the very famous, he got a pretty decent nerf when he was at a 44% win rate. It blew the minds of all the people that care about win rate as the major balance tool of League. It's never been that way. It never should be that way. We have had developers in the past that have used it, and it's been quite bad for balance. But Riot, and it feels like they've finally learnt that you need to treat champions slightly differently. Not everything is you're aiming for 50%. If it's a very highly mechanical late game hyperscaling champion, yeah, I'd say 48%, maybe even lower. Maybe Azir could be balanced around 47%. That doesn't mean he's weak. You just have to be good with it to enable its strength. So his health regen is going up, his attack damage is going up. So nothing major, just helping his lane phase more than anything else. And that's completely fine because he still has absolute hyper carry status in late game already. Brand has done way too much damage for quite a long time. So he's performing well in all roles, which by the way is support, mid, and jungle. And even a lot of mages are now starting to be played in the carry role in bot lane, not the support role. And Brand is also one of those. So he's arguably in 4 roles at the moment. So his mana regen's going down. Basically, there in support, he's comfortably skipping a mana item. So he's rushing Liandry's. They're probably going to try and make him rush Blackfire, which is a slightly weaker burn item than Liandry's, because obviously Blackfire has the mana, so some of the power of that item is going into having mana, where Liandry's doesn't have mana, so it can be more damage orientated. Making it more punishing, basically, that his mana will be less. His passive, Blaze. The detonation damage is going down, so it was 9 to 13% of the target's maximum health, plus an AP ratio. It's now 8 to 12% of the target's maximum health. So it's a 1% nerf. Again, 1% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're proccing this quite often, you will feel that nerf. And then the mana cost also of the Q is going up, which again, combining mana regen going down and mana cost going up, it probably will make Brand have to care a bit more about buying a mana item, which is good. Camille, again, very strong champion again. One of the best performing top laners in the game and is due for a nerf. Again, it's unsurprising when mobility is king. She can lock things down and she has true damage. And she's got a shield that can change depending what she's against. So like you know, some champions are like, oh, I'll play an AD champ against that. Well, she gets an AD, shield if you're doing majority attack damage. And oh, I'm playing an AP champion against her. Well, suddenly that same shield is now a magic shield. It's a bit strong. So her base health is going down, making her squishier in the early game. Her W, which obviously is the cone sweep. So the minimum damage of it is going down. So it used to minimum, even at level 1, do 70 damage plus 60% of her bonus AD. And obviously, yes, level 1, she doesn't have a lot of bonus AD. She's got a Doran's Blade. But, over 70 damage at level 1 is a decent amount. The outer bonus cone damage, however, is unchanged. So if she hits in the really... the good area of the cone, she will still do the maximum damage with it. It's just if basically she doesn't get it, like, this is punishing either a bad Camille that's not hitting the W correctly, or it's basically making it better for players against Camille. That if you manage to like get in the right way and dodge the kind of bigger part of the cone, it's better for that. Her E, gosh, she's getting nerfs to everything but her Q. Her E, the damage of it is going down considerably in terms of scaling. So 90% bonus AD ratio, 75% bonus AD ratio. So that's going to hurt her a bit. And the ultimate, the bonus damage was 5, 10, 15, plus 4, 6, 8 of current HP. The bonus damage is this bit's going away. So it's just going to current HP. Now, again, I'm not a Camille player. I've never really bonded with this champion. If someone wants to tell me what the bonus damage actually is, feel free in the comment section below. Is it bonus damage like on everything you hit? You're also gaining an extra 5 damage of everything. Every auto attack, you're getting 5 and then eventually 15. Or is it just on the cast? I actually don't know. So let me know what that actually is in the comments. But nerfs basically across the board for Camille. Corki, a champion that they're very, very scared of. There have been rioters quoted to say that Corki is the worst design champ. And again, it depends what your parameters of design is. Corki's whole goal, and they've tried to move him away from it, but it's still fundamentally his kind of identity, is Corky having a good game means you don't play against Corky. So he gets to do his damage and then he just rocket like W's away. It's basically a champion that's all about not being interactive. So in that aspect, he is pretty unhealthy. They have tried to move him away from that. They've obviously tried to turn him more just into an AD carry, with mixed success. So his passive is getting buffed, so the bonus true damage is going up, which obviously his passive used to be, it turned his damage into magic damage, you know, AD into magic damage. It doesn't do that anymore, so he just gets bonus true damage. His W Valkyrie, again, it is a bonus. That's quite a big buff. So I actually don't mind this buff specifically being quite big. If you're like, really? So they're buffing it by a 50%. So it's got 200% bonus AD ratio, which it sounds crazy. But for that to do damage, a Corky needs to put himself at risk. So like, it's not like it's just using the W to run away. A Corky needs to land that on somebody for it to do damage. So I'm actually kind of okay with that. It's trying to get away from the unhealthy playstyle of him just running away all the time. This one is a bit scary, though, that they're buffing his missile barrage, which obviously is the typical just spam rockets. They're buffing it by 10% bonus AD. So it's not crazy buffs, but I wouldn't be shocked if we started seeing some Corky again. Elise, armor growth decreased. That's actually not that bad. I was expecting bigger nerfs than that. I was actually expecting a bit of damage nerfs or sustain nerfs. One of those two. It's kind of neither. So they're just making her a little bit less tanky. They're happy with her power to assassinate because that's kind of her identity. But she's a bit too tanky with being, in essence, in some respects, she's an AP assassin. In some. Not fully, but a bit. So that's okay. Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is a bit too strong. I don't know if my Fiddlesticks players that I get had got that memo, because I don't remember the last time I had a good Fiddle player who was strong. But anyway, his Q is going down. So the damage of the target's current HP is going down by 1% per rank. And the amp damage is also going down. So yeah, just straight up nerfs to his Q Terrify. Obviously, Fiddlestick's bread and butter is more of his ultimate. And yes, you want to ultimate and then Q the primary target you're wanting to kill. But that's not a disaster, at least. So that's good, I would say. Galio, base... Oh, that's going to hurt a Galio, man. Base mana is going from 500 to 410. And Galio is a champion that has pretty high mana costs. But what they're doing here, this is actually quite smart. So what Galio's been doing recently is he purchases Hollow Radiance, which is obviously an MR AoE tank item. And then he's basically unkillable to most mages or AP assassins in mid. And he's not really getting that punished for it. Because, you know, tank items, let's be honest, do too much damage. So what they're doing is, if we hit his mana, and that's all we do, it's basically going to make people build Rod of Ages. Like, you have to basically build Rod. You need mana, otherwise you're going to go in one spell rotation, then what you're going to do. So they're trying to do an interesting nerf to basically make his mage build more apparent, which is interesting. I like that. Gangplank. Mana regen increased. E-reach time to... Ooh, okay. We'll be playing a Gangplank game on Thursday. I love Gangplank. Honestly, if someone told me that you've got a genie lamp, you can rub it and go, every single champion is equally balanced, which again can't happen, but every champion is equally balanced. What champion will you start playing a lot? Gangplank. Like, that's the thing, is he is so, to me, and everyone's different. Someone gets satisfaction playing Tryndamere. I get satisfaction playing Gangplank. I think Queen Pleb's playing with Maya downstairs. It sounds very cute. But I love Gangplank. To me, it's the best. When I'm playing good on Gangplank and I have a good game on Gangplank, like, it's similar to Anivia in some ways, but like, I can't have more fun. Like, it's that simple. So any buffs to Gangplank, because he's been pretty weak for a while. And I would also say the reason why Gangplank's been weak for a while isn't actually Gangplank himself. This will help. It's been his items. Gangplank has to buy expensive items. He likes Triforce. He likes Infinity Edge. Like, these are really expensive items. And yes, he has a mechanic that gets him bonus gold, and that's what can enable him to buy so many expensive items. But if you have a bad game on Gangplank, it's awful because you're not making that gold. You need to still buy those expensive items. There's not a cheaper build he can go. So let's see what they say. Gangplank has slowly been hit by a couple systems over time and could use some power put back into him. Losing mana from biscuits, which was a really big thing. Crit system reworks, which favored AD carries, not Gangplank. I was going to say it didn't favor melees, it favored Yasuo and Yone. And his build losing Essence Reaver, which again was a major Gangplank item, had been pretty large impacts on his laning phase. Wanting to slightly increase mana regen to compensate for biscuits being lost, and also decrease cooldown on barrels to make pre-13 Gangplank slightly more engaging. So every Gangplank player will know, I think I've probably said it in my own, get to level 13, man. Level 13 was basically the time that you actually could use barrels freely. Does that make sense? Like, before level 13, before you get rank 5E, you kind of had to just be like, oh, I'll use a barrel here, and I'll maybe use there, or I shouldn't have done that one. That was a waste. Level 13 is when you can just be like, oh, I'm gonna just try now, go for plays because of the timing of it. So his mana regen's going up by 0.5. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it will help. And again, they're just trying to do a compensation buff for mana being lost from biscuits. And then the powder keg. Oh, it's a second. Okay. That's not bad. So before it was a 14-second recharge time, we're now getting that one level earlier. But what's even cooler, we're getting it one level earlier. So where it was level 13 for Gangplank, it now might be level 12. It's actually a buff because they're actually going to go down to 13 seconds. So that actually will enable Gangplank to try to even go for more plays. I like that. Again, no damage buffs. Gangplank's damage is good. You don't need to buff his damage. His true damage on his passive is strong. He needs help to get to the point that he actually can afford items because of how expensive his items are. That's cool. Gwen, oh, screw this champion. Passive damage decreased. Again, this champion I have seen in the last 2 weeks 2 different kind of builds and playstyles of Gwen. I've seen standard Gwen with Conqueror top lane, and she murders everyone, shreds everybody, can't even die. And then I've even seen First Strike Ignite mid lane Gwen that bursts you like 80% of your health with one use of her ultimate. What? Like, it's crazy. Which again, you're seeing here, by the way. Burst Mage, Shadow Flame, Deathcap. Yeah, people have been starting to play a mid lane as a Burst Mage. Oi, oi, oi. So, her passive, 1000 Cuts, which was 1% plus an AP ratio of target's maximum health. That's being nerfed. So it was 0.72% per 100 AP. It's now 0.6% per 100 AP. She's still going to be obnoxiously strong. This is not enough to make this champion weak. She's very strong. Any champion that's got true damage as a major part of their kit is going to be strong. So, yeah. Hooray, man. Hooray, me and my Twitch chat actually had a conversation about it today of a modern champion. And when I say modern, I would say maybe the last 3 years, maybe even 4. I've always kind of used, I think, Kayn as the champion where champ design started to go a bit crazy. And Kayn is probably 4 or 5 years old now, which is insane. Hooray is probably the hardest to play new champion for the last 3 to 4 years. Because majority of the new champions, let's be honest, like they practically play themselves half the time. Hooray doesn't. You do have to be good at Hooray. But that's the problem, is, oh my god, no, it hasn't been a year, has it? Hooray players have been better at Hooray over the last year? No. Wait. Hold up. I actually have to look this up. Hooray, lol. When did this champion get released? Oh, it's nearly been a year. He got released on the 5th of December last year. Oh, that's scary. We're just over a month away from Hooray being a year old. Where the hell does time go, man? Anyway, not surprised some nerfs are coming. As they say, like, he's a really complicated champion in terms of League of Legends. You know, he has 10 abilities, and all of them are practically skill shots. Mastering when to use what at what time is difficult. So give people time, and they will naturally get better at this champion. So I'm fine with that. So his QQ, which obviously is his major poke, is being nerfed. In what parameter? There we go. A 5% nerf to his AP ratio and a 10 damage nerf in terms of the base damage. That's not that bad at all. The target's maximum health is staying the same. That's okay. Like, again, players when they first were playing Hawaii probably didn't use QQ as much as they probably should, and they were probably missing it half the time. A really good Hawaii is probably landing that nearly every time now. And also then the E, Subject Torment, which obviously is the whole of his E. The cooldown of it is going up by 1 second like for everything. Which again, I presume that's just for his E, kind of the shadow book or whatever, because they haven't said EE or EQ or EW. That's just E. So there's that. Aurelia, this champion. Yeah, she's not great. I played against an Aurelia recently. To be fair, that Aurelia played bad. She didn't rush Blade the Ruin King, an item that she basically 100% needs. But the champion has seen better days, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who play top, who even play mid, are happy that Aurelia is pretty bad right now, because she's quite oppressive when she's strong. Hello, puppy. So her Q, which obviously is her use it all the time, the cooldown of it is going down by a second on each rank, which is pretty good. That's, you know, arguably you're playing it wrong if you're, you know, if you miss a reset on Aurelia's Q, you've done something wrong. So this is more forgiving to bad, you know, Aurelia players. But the mana of it's going down, which again is forgiving. The damage of it is also going up in AD ratio, which helps with scaling, which is a lot what Aurelia started to miss. Because it's weird, Aurelia, also if you hear Maya drinking, apologies, she's having a big drink. Aurelia used to be, way back when, a late game champion, kind of akin to Jax. Then they changed her to being an early game champion when she kind of got her rework. And then she kind of been like mid game champion. So like giving her a late game scaling is fine. You know, she still won't be a monster in late game. And then also bonus damage to minions, which obviously helps to her execution, is actually going down. But obviously she's getting it less on cooldown and she's getting a higher AD ratio. So it probably evens out more or less. And then the R. Ooh. So when she's thrown her R out, Q cooldown reduction has been removed, but I don't actually know how much reduction she got. Was it a second? Because if not, if it was a second, then she's gaining it from the standard Q, so maybe that's why they're removing it. Who knows? Kai'Sa, oh god, nerf this champion to oblivion, man. This champion sucks. Passive damage decreased. That's I already can tell she's probably going to be fine. Kai'Sa wound up as one of the big winners from the recent item shake up, and is now too strong. You don't say. We're hitting the passive AP ratio slightly and the per stack plasma damage more meaningfully in order to make her less bound to CC support and leave crit builds less affected. Again, this champion will unfortunately never get proper nerfs because she's a money maker, and I hate to say that, but it's true. Especially the guy that's in charge of League now. I think he used to be like the finance guy, so he's now the CEO practically. They only care about money. They don't care about the game, and obviously we've seen that in the last year with $200 chromas, $500 faker packages. It sucks, but it's true. So their prerogative is to keep money-making champions strong. So the initial damage of her passive AP rate, it's a buff to the base damage. It's a nerf to AP. Per stack damage is getting halved in its maximum, but it's actually getting an AP ratio buff. And the maximum damage is again going down in both. Slight AP ratio nerf and damage here. So yeah, this champion will still be fine. Like, I really wish, because I've been fed up of seeing Kai'Sa now for like, what, over 2 years in some context. Like, we've had Kai'Sa mid building, you know, maxing W and building AP and not being interactive. We've had crit Kai'Sa, we've had lethality Kai'Sa, we've now got kind of on-hit AP Kai'Sa again. I wish they just nerfed her away for like a year. Like, I just don't want to see this champ. So she's always going to be there. It would just be nice if she wasn't for a while. But yeah, she's still going to be fine. Hopefully, and again, these nerfs don't look that severe, I'm going to be honest. But hopefully it's more just like AD carry Kai'Sa rather than AP Kai'Sa. But A man can dream. Karthus. R damage decreased. I don't remember the last time I saw a Karthus, but okay. So Karthus got stronger when early game snowballing and magic resist were both made weaker, and is now a dominant jungler. If you say so. So the magic damage is going, the standard is the same. It's a 5% AP ratio nerf. I'll be honest, I vaguely remember. I don't even know when it would have been, a year ago maybe. Karthus got that exact buff. So they're just kind of getting rid of a buff that they did. I vaguely remember this exact buff happening, and they're now just reverting it. There's that. Kassadin. So yeah, Kassadin, obviously a big winner as well. Basically, if you're a scaling champion, you were in essence a winner of the new patch, because they slowed down the game, making it less snowbally. So something like a Kassadin, where the game can snowball away from him before he becomes a monster, it's better for him because the game is slower, less snowbally. So his Q, to be fair, like I've seen straight up Kassadin start beating people actively the moment he buys Malignance. He starts winning, which is scary. So his Q is being nerfed in terms of 10% AP ratio nerf. That's a pretty big nerf. And then his E, which is again, E is actually what a lot of people max because it gives him wave clear, which otherwise he doesn't have. It's being again nerfed AP ratio by 5%. So straight up double nerfs to Kassadin. He'll still be a strong champion, but that is going to like trim the top off, if you will. Kayle, W mana cost reduced. I actually said this, and I don't know if it made it into a YouTube video. Kayle doesn't technically need buffs right now. She's completely fine. She's actually pretty strong. So what this buff to me is, and right, I've done it throughout the years, it's a nudge. So this does absolutely nothing for Kayle. Her W is basically her most meaningless ability. Yes, you use it. Yes, it gives you a bit of heal, practically none. The movement speed is kind of the nicest thing about it. What this is, to me, is, hey, Kayle is strong right now. Not many people are playing her. We're going to put her in patch notes in a buff position. Give her a go. And guess what? She's fine. The W is irrelevant. It's just trying to make the community apparent that she's actually quite good right now. Kind of akin her to Kai'Sa in many ways. She's an AD carry play style that does magic damage, that builds on-hit items. Like, she's strong. So look out for Kayle, for sure. Malphite, base health increased. So for being rather an easy champion, Malphite is a bit under where we'd like him to be. Okay, so he's getting 21 base health increase. That's pretty good. That again, what Malphite is supposed to be is either a hard counter blocking champion to certain champs. Like if you randomly play Pantheon top lane, Malphite. If you randomly play Quinn top lane, Malphite. If you play Zed mid lane, Malphite. But it's also supposed to be a champion that, oh, I got autofill to top lane. What do I play? Malphite. So making him a little bit, he's never going to be the carry of games. He's not supposed to be. Making him a bit stronger, a bit more forgiving, I don't think is a bad thing. I think a lot of top lane mains don't really play Malphite, but he's a good option just to have in your back pocket. Mr. Nasus. Passive lifesteal reduced, Q damage decreased. So lifesteal is going down considerably, 3% per rank. Nice. And then the Q, the bonk, bonus physical damage is going down by 5 each rank, plus obviously how many stacks he has total. That's not a lot, but again, Nasus is not supposed to do anything in the early game, and there have been some lanes that Nasus are winning the early game. It's weird, but yeah, that's basically what they're trying to avoid. Neela, the kind of knockoff Samira. Q and R quality of life improvements. Okay. Neela's EQ combo now deals damage instantly in the area rather than when the missile hits the enemy. That's nice. Neela's auto attack should no longer cancel when her Q buff runs out. That's very nice. I'm sure there's many a Neela that has missed a kill with Collector that their last auto attack has timed out from her bonus range. Well, now it will actually continue the auto. And then her ultimate is Neela's first auto attack coming out of her ultimate should no longer be slightly delayed either. So it's, again, making her a bit more assassin-y AD, a bit quicker. That's overall net buffs to her. Kiana, fun champion. Health regen is going up, making her more forgiving in lane phase. And then her W, obviously the bread and butter of her kit. The damage of it is, ooh, that's a big buff. Ooh, baba. 10% 8 bonus AD ratio, it's doubling. 20% bonus AD. There's a reason that this is a low percentage ratio. There's, you're seeing other champions, up here have whatever, like 70% AP ratios and stuff. There's a reason that that's a low percentage. It's because Kiana's damage output is incredibly high. So any damage ratio increases is scary as, and that's doubling it. Oh boy. That's a bit scary, not gonna lie. There could be Kiana buffs in my future. Senna, way too consistent for a long time. So her armor's going down, making her, less tanky in lane phase, and her armor growth is also going down, continuing that trend. That's fine. Again, Kiana's obviously rushed Black Cleaver now, so she's kind of like a ranged bruiser almost, and she's really hard to kill. So making her easier to kill should be her punishment, so that I think is fine. Severe, a champion that does absolutely nothing until you get full build and then kills everything in one go. Basically no in between. So her attack damage is going up by 2. That will help a little bit in the early game. Her Q, damage of it, what are they doing? Ooh, what are they doing? The damage of it. Oh, interesting. So the damage of it is going considerably up in terms of base damage. And instead of it scaling to... Oh, that's what they're doing. It used to be her total AD, which includes her base AD from the champion plus any that you get from items. It's now going just to your bonus AD. But it's getting a buff. So that's going to probably help her early game. Because her total AD won't even be this high enough to warrant like that. Yeah, that's going to do more in lane phase. And it will probably equal out somewhere. Again, are they saying? For those who don't want to do the math, these Q changes represent a buff for levels 1 to 12 and a slightly nerf afterwards. There you go. Fair enough. Oh, Mr. Swain. So what I'll probably do, I think instead of going through it completely here, I will play a Swain game later this week and we can go through it properly. But what they're basically doing, we can do a bit of a read, is it's demon time. Swain is receiving a tweaking update aimed at making him much more consistent and giving him more personal agency over his success and failures. He's receiving the increase in personal agency largely through significant buffs to his Nevermore's accuracy, which I guess is his W, an overall, or E maybe, an overall shift in power from his ultimate towards his base kit. So that's actually quite a good change, because like Swain, he doesn't really do anything without his ultimate, not massively, where, it's kind of like Yorick is basically just Maiden. That's not fun. So they're making Swain more than just his ultimate. So Death's Hand will be doing about 10% more damage at long range and have a lower mana cost to make those range trades better. Ooh, okay. I think they're trying to bring him back to mid lane. That's what I think they're trying to do. So Death's Hand's the Q, right? Because it's kind of like a lightning hand going out. These buffs are being compensated with a small decrease to his melee range damage output, meaning Swain will be so strongly defined by his best and worst matchups. Vision of Empire, which I guess is his W, is being compressed to not require skill rank ups as strongly as before, primarily through front loading the slow and reveal duration. It's meant to still be a competitive option to max second, but should leave room for Nevermore's increased importance. So you'll probably start maxing E instead of your max Q, then E, then W, as I think what they want to try and do. And Nevermore, Nevermove, which is his E, changes the most important in this patch. Its acceleration has been re-implemented with more modern missile tech, removing randomness. It had randomness from its travel time. Its return is now more consistent and substantially better, proving Swain much better access to crowd control. His damage is also being shifted entirely into the explosion, which should make it better at damaging enemy champions. This increases expected output per cast and has necessitated nerfing its cooldown and passive healing to compensate. Okay, so do more damage. Demonic Ascension, his ultimate, is meant to represent less of Swain's overall power, allowing Swain to rely more on his stronger basic abilities. The chief nerf here is the cooldown, though it scales player plainly with ability haste, so maybe build some ability haste. The overall cooldown is substantially longer, and the healing and damage are generally weaker. But for Swains who are strong enough to take over games, they're getting multiple demon flares per ultimate. Oh, that's the big explosion. So you can do multiple of them, not just one. He's not meant to access these extra costs every time he transforms, but when Swain starts really carrying, that'll come with some extra spice. Okay. I think we'll give him a go. Maybe in mid lane, but a lot of Swain players, I think, are very comfortable in bot lane as support nowadays, but we'll see. We'll see. Talon, W damage increased. Talon doesn't have quite enough damage to apply his trade in mid lane. Yeah, I've always kind of said if you want to play something like Talon, you should just kind of play Zed, but that's kind of because Talon just doesn't do a lot of damage, and he's so well suited into the jungle. The champion that basically can jump over every single wall and be at the bottom to the top of the map. Oh wait, that's Kayn. Talon is kind of like a worse version of Kayn, but if you like parkour, not just being a oogie boogie ghost in a wall, maybe Talon's for you. So they're giving him a 10% bonus AD ratio buff and also base damage increase. So a really big damage increase, really, for his main ability. I'm not even there. Genuinely, that might not be bad. Taric. Again, I don't see Taric, but okay. Taric has been one of the statistically strongest supports for a while not feeling like he's winning the game for his team. Yeah, I mean, it's weird to say, but like he's an enchanter tank support. Enchanters a lot of the time can do a lot of work, but it won't be noticed. Like that's the thing of enchanters. So they're nerfing his bonus armor significantly. 3% less bonus armor. That's quite a lot. So he'll kind of feel more like an enchanter than a tank with that less armor. Teemo, a champion I've been spamming a bit and enjoying, and I've had to say it quite a bit. Like, he's not strong. You can feel it when you're playing him. I've had some good performances on him, but he is not strong. So I've purely been playing him because I'm finding it fun rather than anything else, because that should be what you're trying to do. But what they're doing is giving him a bit more survivability in the early game, and then the W bonus movement speed that you're getting all the time is getting buffed 2% each rank, and then when you press W, you get the burst of movement speed is also being buffed, so that is getting 4% increase in each rank. Cool. So again, no absolute damage, nerfs. The problem that Teemo has got, and we had a bit of a debate on it on Twitch chat today, is he's a ranged top laner. He's really easy to kill. If you're good as a standard top laner, if you're really good, Teemo is not hard to kill at all. I destroyed a Teemo the other day. Like, he's very easy to kill. So all these buffs are doing is making him slightly harder to kill by giving him, let's be honest, not a lot, but like less than 20 extra health. But making him what he's supposed to be is I'm moving, I'm running away, I'm being quick. They're just making that fantasy a bit stronger. So that's all you need to do. Obviously, Brox is going to be very happy spamming it in the jungle. So there's that. Viego, again, very strong champion. Armor growth decrease, making him a little bit, riskier. Like, you can kill him a bit quicker, so that's fine. Volibear, obnoxious champion for a very long time. Really? That's all they're doing? So he's been strong for a while, and we're finally nerfing him. A 2-second nerf. That's all you're doing when he's been so obnoxious? Really? His Rod of Ages plus Navori build is really interesting and unique and broken, but his cooldowns aren't tuned around this newfound CDR access. We're targeting his E, as the frequent shielding and max health damage make him quite hard to deal with. Kind of felt I was going to do a bit more than that, but yeah, 2-second nerf. I think that probably warranted more nerfs, but okay. Xayah, W damage increased. Bonus strike damage going up by 5%. Nice. Yeah, I guessed it. When they said, oh yeah, we're nerfing Yone, I said it was going to be for the W. It's not actually going to be for his actual, like, major part of why he's broken. So Yone is a touch too powerful right now and lacks a bit of counterplay. Oh, you don't say. When he jumps from you from a whole screen away, misses all of his abilities, but you somehow still die. So he's receiving simultaneous nerf via Blade the Ruined King, which we'll get onto later. A smaller buff with lethal tempo. But yeah, they're getting a nerf for him. So his total damage of his shield, of his cleave, whatever the hell, total damage of it is staying the same in base damage, but of his own max HP, which again, this champion doesn't build a crazy amount of max HP, that's being toned down. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yorick, pet damage decrease. Yeah, Yorick, I've been playing him a little bit here and there. I can definitely see what they say where he's being a bit too dominant in low MMR. I can definitely see that. He has weaknesses, but like in low MMR, people wouldn't be able to abuse them as much. Yeah, I'm completely fine with that nerf. His ghouls especially are just doing too much. Because his build nowadays, and this is the thing, Yorick by his very design is supposed to be more of a bruiser, like a slight tank, slight damage. Everybody is just building full damage on him because the damage is so high and people, can't fight him. So because of that, yeah, his damage is just too much. So his Mistwalker AD is technically going up in base on his level, but a 5% nerf to Yorick from Yorick's total AD. So that is a definite net nerf considering that Yorick is buying a full AD build nowadays. So yeah, he will feel that for sure. Silk Shoes are being nerfed. Okay. Blade the Ruined King. Again, Blade the Ruined King has been a very problematic item for years. So Mist's Edge obviously is the target's current HP damage. It was 10% for melee, 6% for ranged. It's now 8% for melee, 5% for ranged. Here's the funny thing, right? I don't actually think it's that strong of an item for ranged. I think it's a crazy item for melee champs. I don't see a lot of ranged champions build it and kind of go, oh, they're way too strong with it. Like, Twitch obviously is one of the core ranged champions with Bork. You don't see Twitch anymore at all. So now that Twitch, one of his main items, is also getting nerfed, you really won't see Twitch anymore. The only time you see Twitch are kind of like the boosting duos that are playing Twitch Lulu every game. That's basically it. Ew. Runes, recommended runes for Twisted Fate, Azir, and Rengar are being updated. Lethal tempo, the melee attack speed per stack is going up. So a buff to Yone. Woo! And again, that's specifically a melee buff, so that's not for your AD carries. That's for Yasuo and Yone predominantly. And then there's ARAM changes. What else? We've got bug fixes, upcoming skins. As I said, it's the Dark Cosmic or Dark Star. And that's it. Okay. Overall, I think it's an okay patch. I'm really hyped for the Gangplank changes, so look out for a Gangplank game. I'm interested about the Swain changes. But I think I'm disappointed in some of the nerfs. Like, Kai'Sa not nearly nerfed enough. Volibear, questionable. Yone, very questionable. Senna, I'd even say may have needed more. So, yeah. Gwen probably needed more. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, Riot's goal, technically, is to make these champions who are very overpowered, it's to tone them down from being overpowered to being playable and strong still. They don't want to make, well, for their money-making champions, they don't want to make them overpowered to ridiculously weak. That's the idea. But that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think. If you appreciate me doing this, because, it's nearly 9 p.m, so I'm going to get this edited and uploaded straight away. Do throw a like on it, throw a comment, let me know what you think about the patch down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory.